Townsville is a city on the northeastern coast of Queensland, Australia. It is in the dry tropics region of Queensland, adjacent to the central section of the Great Barrier Reef. Townsville is Australia's largest urban centre north of the Sunshine Coast, with a 2014 population estimate of 178,649. Considered the unofficial capital of North Queensland by locals, Townsville hosts a significant number of governmental, community and major business administrative offices for the northern half of the state. Popular attractions include the Strand, a long tropical beach and garden strip, Riverway, a riverfront parkland attraction located on the banks of Ross River, Reef HQ, a large tropical aquarium holding many of the Great Barrier Reef's native flora and fauna, the Museum of Tropical Queensland, built around a display of relics from the sunken British warship HMS Pandora, Castle Hill, the most prominent landmark of the area and a popular fitness destination, the Townsville Sports Reserve, and Magnetic Island, a large neighbouring island, the vast majority of which is national park. History. Early history. Such indigenous groups as the Walgurukaba, Bindal, Girigaba, Warrakamai and Nwagi, among others, originally inhabited the Townsville area. The Walgurukaba claimed to be the traditional owner of the Townsville city area. The Bindal had a claim struck out by the Federal Court of Australia. In 2005. James Cook visited the Townsville region on his first voyage to Australia in 1770, but did not actually land there. Cook named nearby Cape Cleveland, Cleveland Bay, and Magnetic Island. In 1819, Captain Philip Parker King and botanist Alan Cunningham were the first Europeans to record a local landing. In 1846, James Morrill was shipwrecked from the Peruvian, living in the Townsville area among the Bindal people for 17 years before being found by white men and returned to Brisbane. Establishment. The Birdkin River's seasonal flooding made the establishment of a seaport north of the river essential to the nascent inland cattle industry. John Melton Black of Woodstock Station, an employee of Sydney entrepreneur and businessman Robert Towns, dispatched Andrew Ball, Marquardt Reid and a small party of Aborigines to search for a suitable site. Ball's party reached the Ross Creek in April 1864 and established a camp below the rocky spur of Melton Hill, near the present Customs House on the Strand. The first party of settlers, led by W.A. Ross, arrived at Cleveland Bay from Woodstock Station on the 5th of November of that year. In 1866, Robert Towns visited for 3 days, his first and only visit. He agreed to provide ongoing financial assistance to the new settlement and Townsville was named in his honor. Townsville was declared a municipality in February 1866, with John Melton Black elected as its first mayor. Townsville developed rapidly as the major port and service centre for the Cape River, Gilbert, Ravenswood, Etheridge and Charters Towers goldfields. Regional pastoral and sugar industries also expanded and flourished. Townsville's population was 4,000 people in 1882 and grew to 13,000 by 1891. In 1901, Lord Hopetoun made a goodwill tour of northern Australia and accepted an invitation to officially open Townsville's town hall, occasioning the first ever vice-regal ceremonial unfurling of the Australian national flag. With Brisbane, in 1902, Townsville was proclaimed a city under the Local Authorities Act. The foundation stone of the Townsville cenotaph was laid in Strand Park on the 19th of July 1923. It was unveiled on the 25th of April 1924 by the Queensland Governor, Sir Matthew Nathan. Townsville, Thuringowa. The rural land surrounding the city was initially managed by the Thuringowa Road Board, which eventually became the Shire of Thuringowa. The Shire ceded land several times to support Townsville's expansion. In 1986 the Shire became incorporated as a city, governed by the Thuringowa City Council. The cities of Townsville and Thuringowa were amalgamated into the new Townsville City Council in March 2008, as part of the Queensland state government's reform program. Japanese influence. In 1896, Japan established its first Australian consulate in Townsville, primarily to serve some 4,000 Japanese workers who migrated to work in the sugarcane, turtle, crocus, beach demare, and pearling industries. With the introduction of the White Australia policy, the demand for Japanese workers decreased, causing the consulate to finally close in 1908. World War II. During World War II, the city was host to over 50,000 American and Australian troops and aircrew, and it became a major staging point for battles in the Southwest Pacific. A large United States Armed Forces contingent supported the war effort from 7 airfields and other bases around the city and in the region. The first bombing raid on Rabaul, in Papua New Guinea, on the 23rd of February 1942 was carried out by 6 B-17s based near Townsville. Some of the units based in Townsville were No. 3 Fighter Sector RAF Woolgoori and AMP North Ward, 1 Wireless Unit Pimlico and AMP Stewart and AMP Roseneath, Northeastern Area Command HQ, Townsville, Sturt Street, Castle Hill, Townsville Underground Tunnels and AMP Bunkers, Green Street, Bunker, West End, Sydney Street, West End, Project 81. 96th Engineer Battalion. In July 1942, 3 small Japanese air raids were made against Townsville, which was by then the most important airbase in Australia. Several 500-pound bombs were dropped in the harbour near the Garbutt airfield on a 2 number, where bomb craters are still clearly visible. No lives were lost and structural damage was minimal, as the Japanese missed their intended target of the railway and destroyed a palm tree. Although the Japanese aircraft were intercepted on 2 of the 3 raids, no Japanese planes were shot down. 1970 onwards. On Christmas Eve 1971, Tropical Cyclone Althea, a Category 4 cyclone, battered the city and Magnetic Island, causing considerable damage. 2 very significant hotels on Flinders Street were lost. Buchanan's Hotel was regarded by architectural historians as Australia's most significant building in the filigree style was lost to fire in 1982, and the Alexandra Hotel to demolition in the 1970s. Eddie Mabo, who later became famous for his involvement in overturning the legal fiction of terra nullius, worked as a gardener at James Cook University in the 1970 to 1980s. It was here he first learned of the implications of the terra nullius doctrine and decided to take on the Australian government. The James Cook University Douglas Campus Library is now named after him. In October 2000, a Solomon Islands peace agreement was negotiated in Townsville. Urban layout. Inner-city high-density development has also created population growth and gentrification of the central business district. One significant contributor to CBD development was the construction of a new rail passenger terminal and moving the railway workshops, releasing prime real estate which formerly belonged to Queensland Rail for the development of residential units, retail projects and a new performing arts centre. The skyline of Townsville's central business district has undergone dramatic changes over the last few years. with a number of new high-rise buildings, both commercial and residential, constructed. In the short term, much of the urban expansion will continue to the west and the north, in the former city of Thuringia. The most significant of these is North Shore-It, a new $1 billion 5,000-lot housing estate, located close to the Bruce Highway, just north of the Bola River. Medium-term expansion of Townsville will be focused on two major urban developments anticipated to start soon. Rocky Springs, a satellite city to the south of Townsville, is expected to eventually be home to 55,000 people. Additionally, the state government announced it will be offering 270 hectares of state-owned land, just south of the Bola River, for future urban expansion. Geography. Townsville lies approximately 1,350 kilometers north of Brisbane and 350 kilometers south of Cairns. It lies on the shores of Cleveland Bay, protected to some degree from the predominantly southeast weather. Cleveland Bay is mostly shallow inshore, with several large beaches and continually shifting sandbars. Magnetic Island lies 8 kilometers offshore, to the north of the city center. The Ross River flows through the city. 3 weirs, fish stocking and dredging of the river in these reaches has resulted in a deep, stable and clean waterway used for many recreational activities such as water skiing, fishing and rowing. 30 kilometers from the mouth is the Ross River Dam, the major water storage for the urban areas. The historic waterfront on Ross Creek, site of the original wharves and port facilities, has some old buildings mixed with the later modern skyline. However, the central city is dominated by the mass of red granite called Castle Hill, 292 meters high and just 8 meters short of being a mountain. There is a lookout at the summit giving panoramic views of the city and its suburbs, including Cleveland Bay and Magnetic Island. There are a number of parks scattered throughout the city, including 3 botanical gardens, Anderson Park, Queen's Gardens and the Palmetum. Climate. Townsville is characterized as a tropical savanna climate, owing to a quirk of its geographical location. Townsville's winter rainfall in particular is not as high as elsewhere in the coastal tropics of Queensland, such as Cairns. The winter months are dominated by southeast trade winds and mostly fine weather. Further north the coastline runs north-south and the trade winds are lifted to produce rainfall right through the year. Townsville, however, lies on a section of coastline that turns east-west, so the lifting effect is not present. As a result, winter months are dominated by blue skies, warm days and cool nights, although at times significant rainfall may occur. Kenneth Wade Robinson summarized the climate as follows: "The sunshine attracts many tourists, but the high temperatures, bright sunshine, lack of moisture in the winter, and the prospect of flooding in the summer have a profound effect on all aspects of life and landscape. Special techniques are required for successful farming. Subtropical crops are important items of production. Pastures grow only in summer, and transport may be dislocated when it is needed most. Since the onset of white settlement, pastoralists and farmers of the northeast coastlands region have faced problems for which there are no answers in the agriculture practices of temperate lands. The average annual rainfall is 1,143 millimeters on an average 91 rain days, most of which falls during the 6-month wet season from November to April. Because of the hit-or-miss nature of tropical lows and thunderstorms, there is considerable variation from year to year. This millennium has seen the wettest year on record, with 2,400 millimeters precipitation in 2000, and the second driest year on record, when Townsville received only 467 millimeters in 2001. Rainfall also varies considerably within in the metropolitan area, it typically ranges from 1,136 mm at central Townsville City to 853 mm at Woodstock, a southwestern suburb. The wettest 24 hours on record was the 11th of January 1998, with 548.8 mm falling mostly in a 12-hour period after dark, which has since been dubbed the Night of Noah by Townsville residents. December is the warmest month of the year, with daily mean maximum and minimum temperatures being 31.4 degrees Celsius and 24 degrees Celsius respectively. July is the coolest month, with daily mean maximum and minimum temperatures being 25 degrees Celsius and 13.5 degrees Celsius. Townsville experiences an annual mean of 8.4 hours of sunshine per day, averaging 121.7 clear days per year. Tropical cyclones. Like most of North Queensland, Townsville is susceptible to tropical cyclones. They usually occur between December and April, forming mainly out in the Coral Sea, and usually tracking west to the coast. Notable cyclones to affect the Townsville region have been Cyclone Yasi, Cyclone Tessie, Cyclone Sid, Cyclone Joy, Cyclone Althea, Cyclone Leonhard and Cyclone Sigma. Townsville and Thuringowa experienced major flooding in January 1998 due to Cyclone Sid. Governance. Townsville is the northern Queensland administrative centre for many state and federal government agencies, housing the area offices of many departments and governmental bodies such as Centrelink and the Australian Taxation Office. Local. Townsville is governed by a city council, comprising an independently elected mayor and 10 councillors who each represent a separate division within the local government area. Following local government reform undertaken by the Government of Queensland prior to the March 2008 elections, the previous entities of NQ Water, the City of Townsville and the City of Thuringowa were amalgamated. The Mayor of Townsville is Jenny Hill, a member of the Labour Party. Hill was elected in April 2012, replacing the retiring Les Tyrrell and defeating men opposing candidate Dale Last. Tyrrell was the immediate past mayor for 17 years of the former local government authority, the City of Thuringowa. The previous mayor of Townsville for 19 years was Tony Mooney. Hill faced a largely hostile chamber in her first term, with Townsville First candidates winning the majority of divisions. When local government elections were held in March 2016, Jenny Hill was re-elected as mayor of Townsville, while all 10 of her Team Jenny Hill candidates won in the respective divisions. State. In the unicameral Queensland Parliament, 5 electorates cover the Townsville region. Electoral District of Birdkin, Rosemary Menkins MP. Electoral District of Hinchinbrook, Hon Andrew Cripps MP. Electoral District of Mundingborough, Coralie O'Rourke MP. Electoral District of Thuringowa, Aaron Harper MP. Electoral District of Townsville, Scott Stewart MP. Federal. The majority of the population of Townsville is represented in the Australian House of Representatives by Ewan Jones, first elected as the member for the division of Herbert at the 2010 federal election. Historically a swinging seat, it is only held by a small margin. Some of the suburbs on the southern fringe of the urban area are part of the division of Dawson and are represented by George Crispinson, representing the Liberal National Party. Crispinson is based in Mackay, about 400 kilometers south of Townsville, but he has a part-time office in Woolgooroo. Some of the northern suburbs of Townsville, known collectively as the Northern Beaches, are included in the division of Kennedy, which is represented by Bob Katter MP, who is based in Mount Isa, about 900 kilometers west west of Townsville. Ian MacDonald is one of 12 senators elected by Queensland to the Australian Senate, is based in Townsville. Economy. Economic growth in the region was not restricted to heavy industry growth attributed to the resources boom under the Howard government. The region's tourism growth also outstripped neighbouring regions. Residents in Townsville have average household incomes about 10% above the state average. In 2003-04 it was closer to the New South Wales average than the Queensland average. The city remains popular with tourists, and backpackers are particularly drawn to Magnetic Island and the Great Barrier Reef. The city has excellent diving and snorkeling facilities, with a variety of vessels using the port as a home base for the reef tourism activities. In 2004, there were 11,762 businesses in Townsville and 4,610 in Thuringowa. There were still lots of well-paying job opportunities in the city itself come mid-2008, when the number of unemployed had risen by 100,000 workers, including considerable employment requirements in the trades, engineering, administration, sales and hospitality. Townsville hosted the head office of $4 billion financial advice company Storm Financial until its collapse in early 2009. The city also has its own manufacturing and processing industries. Townsville is the only city globally to refine 3 different base metals, zinc, copper and nickel, and it is currently in strong contention for an aluminium refinery. Nickel ore is imported from Indonesia, the Philippines and New Caledonia and processed at the Yabalu Nickel Refinery, 30 kilometers north of the port. Zinc ore is transported by rail from the Cannington mine, south of Cloncurry, for smelting at the Sun Metals Refinery south of Townsville. Copper concentrate from the smelter at Mount Isa is also railed to Townsville for further refining at the copper refinery at Stewart. Townsville has several large public assets as a result of its relative position and population. These include the largest campus of the only university in northern Queensland, James Cook University, the Australian Institute of Marine Science headquarters, Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority, the large army base at Laverack Barracks and RAF base Townsville. The city has suffered as a result of the Australian mining downturn, with the Australian Bureau of Statistics revealing an estimated unemployment rate of 12.4% in March 2016. Demographics. Townsville has a younger population than the Australian and Queensland averages. The city has traditionally experienced a high turnover of people, with the army base and government services bringing in many short to medium-term workers. The region has also become popular with mine workers on fly-in, fly-out contracts. In 2005-06, the Townsville Statistical District grew at just over 3% and was the 5th fastest growing district division in Australia. Between 2000 and 2005, the annual average population growth in Townsville was 2.5%, compared with 2.2% for Queensland overall. However, growth has slowed in more recent years, with population growth over the 2014-15 period being 1%, compared with the state average of 1.2%. Population statistics. Education. There are over 60 private and state schools of primary and secondary education within the Townsville area. Townsville Grammar School is the oldest co-educational school on the Australian mainland. James Cook University. James Cook University is a public university based in Townsville. Established in 1970, the main campus is located in the suburb of Douglas. JCU was the second university in Queensland and the first in North Queensland. The university has a strong and internationally recognized expertise in marine and tropical biology. The JCU Medical School was established in 1999 and is linked with the adjacent tertiary-level Townsville Hospital. The Veterinary Sciences undergraduate facility is the newest in Australia. Vocational education. The city is home to the Barrier Reef.Institute, a technical and further education college, a campus of the Australian Agricultural College Corporation, and a new Australian Technical College, North Queensland campus, which opened in 2007, in the Douglas suburb. Culture, events and festivals. The Australian Festival of Chamber Music is an international chamber music festival held over 10 days each July in Townsville, North Queensland. The festival has been running since 1991, and attracts many acclaimed international and Australian musicians. Townsville also has its own orchestra, the Barrier Reef Orchestra, which presents concerts throughout North Queensland. The Townsville Entertainment Centre, seating over 5,000 people, is host to many national and international music shows, as well as sporting and trade shows. The region has many renowned festivals, many which celebrate the international heritage of many that call North Queensland home. The annual Greek and Italian festivals are popular with the locals and tourists alike. The Townsville South Hotel and Restaurant Strip hosts an annual Palmer Street Jazz Festival, as does nearby Magnetic Island. The Stable on the Strand is celebrated each Christmas. The Townsville Civic Theatre is North Queensland's premier cultural facility. Since its opening in 1978, the theatre has been a centre of entertainment and performing arts, providing an environment to further develop the performing arts in Townsville and the North. The Full Throttle Theatre Company is a professional theatre company based in Townsville. Full Throttle showcases the talents of local actors, designers, directors and playwrights. It presents 4 major shows a year. The Perk Tucker Regional Gallery is the public art gallery of Townsville. Located on the eastern end of Flinders Mall, the gallery focuses on artwork relevant to North Queensland and the tropics. Every 2nd September the gallery presents sculpture artworks, an art festival called Strand Ephemera, exhibited over the 2-kilometre beachfront strip. The Townsville City Council and Townsville Intercultural Centre annually organises Cultural Fest in mid-August in the Strand. The Cultural Fest showcases the cultural diversity of the city and dance, food, and music from different ethnic groups in the region. The city has many restaurants, concentrated on Palmer Street in South Townsville, Flinders Street and to a lesser extent along the Strand. The city also has a vibrant pub and nightclub scene, many of them located in Flinders Street East. Townsville is the stunning setting for the state-of-the-art futuristic city in the 2015 novel A Tango with the Dragon. Media and communications. Townsville is the media centre for North Queensland, with 5 commercial radio stations, North Queensland ABC radio station, 3 commercial television stations, 1 regional daily newspaper and 1 community weekly newspaper. There are no local Sunday papers, although the Sunday Mail, based in Brisbane, does have a North Queensland edition. Media distributed on the World Wide Web include the Townsville Bulletin,